All right, good afternoon here. I just opened up this file. I just wanted to show this to, because I noticed most people are not aware, or a lot of people are not aware that when you get a file from someone else, whether you buy it or in this case, Ryan is really good about giving files away a lot of times if you're buying products from him. And I'm just now getting around to looking into this file, and I already know that probably 90, maybe 99% of the time you get a file from someone, the files are not very clean, and you're going to have to clean them up. And it doesn't matter who they're from. I'm not bad mouthing Ryan or anyone else. I'm just want you to be aware that most of these files are not ready to use. So I know a lot of people just run them, but they're not good. So I'll show you just for instance. I think these vectors are the same as what's in here. So let's just look at them, any of these, and just take a look. I'll get the N, pressing the N on VCarve. We created this with VCarve version 11, but I'm using version 12.5. But these don't look too bad on this arrow, but you can see how jagged they are. Now that comes from using DXF files, and DXF files are terrible files because you'll get a lot of these. These are not smooth whatsoever, and I personally don't like cutting. You can see the arrow is not centered on that radius at all. Again, I'm not bad mouthing anybody. These were probably taken from a picture of something and traced, and that's another reason you just get a bunch of weird lines that he probably just about halfway cleaned up good enough to make these cuts. And a lot of times you're kind of stuck with this if this has to fit. And in this case, some of this stuff needs to fit in these, so you can't always fix them, you know, all that well unless you really want to spend a lot of time. And in a lot of cases, I'll just take and redraw things altogether. But and a lot of this is grouped, and so you have to ungroup this stuff to be able to work with it. And I personally, I don't like grouping stuff too much anyway because it limits you a lot on doing things with them or moving things or what have you. But so I'm not big on dragging things around anyway. I usually resize or move things to exact dimensions that I want to use. So, but yeah, these are fine, and the DXF file is normally like this, hatcheted out, and that's not very good. So I'm not very good at editing, doing node editing personally, and there's a lot of people that are a whole lot better than I am at this. But you can go in and redraw or do things with it. Look at how terrible that looks in here. So this is why I haven't really made this file yet, because I don't like, I haven't quite decided how I'm going to fix some of this. And most likely what I would personally probably do is just redraw some of this. And if you start tampering with this, you're going to have to, I think this fits into that. So if you'll notice, it's all hatcheted out as well. They probably did it. A lot of times when you do an offset of something, it doesn't work well either. So anyway, it's kind of complicated to fix a lot of this stuff. So in some cases, you may just have to run it like it is and hope it's good enough. But I personally can't stand that type of. To me, it makes you look very unprofessional when you cut something and you have all that hatcheting type features in it that are really not acceptable to me. But you could come in here and cut this out and try to do something else with that. But I'm not sure what the answer is to fix this file. It's so bad that I'm pretty sure this was just something they most likely traced from a picture file or something, because it's really horrible. So I don't know. I may come in and redraw some of this, and I don't know. In this case, this one's really bad, and it's as far as making it perfect. You can see this is already, and I may have cleaned up some of this a little bit already. I don't remember. I worked on this a few weeks ago, but yeah, you can see that's not any particular shape. It's like it's been either the smoothing function run on it, or this called curve fit may have been run on some of this. Like you could select that one and run this curve fit, and you can do Bezier curves or something. Since it's already screwed up, I don't think it's going to fix anything real wonderful. And then just push preview and back up Control Z on that. It's just replace selected vectors. And you can see that it definitely took some of that out, but you've still got a bunch of weird stuff going on. And I guess if you leave that in there, you can look at what it's planning on doing is this compared to what it was. It took some of those sharp, weird things out of it, and it probably does look a little better. So you could just accept that and then go in and select that and erase that. But you've still got a funny looking line there that to me is not real great. And you might could even come in here and delete that point, and that might help that shape a little bit more. Yeah, you could spend a lot. Look at this. You know, you can see features in here that are just really bad. And yeah, I don't know how you would fix that really. I'm not good at that kind of stuff really. So I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I think what I would probably do is just come and put my own letters in here or something and just kind of get rid of some of that because that's pretty horrible. So he already has some vectors in here. So if we go in here and just run what he's got, let's just see what it looks like. I don't even know what's here. I'm just going to preview all this, see what's going on here. But I probably messed up some of the vectors up there, so it may not look right. And that was probably meant to be run with a different deal anyway. So let's reset this and not run something there didn't look like it should have been run. Yeah, that one right there shouldn't be run with this other. So let's try not to run those. Let's look at these and see what they look like. Let's change our material color. I think he may also have tabs in here, and I do not like running tabs. I can't tell. Let's see if that, no, tabs is not in here. Yeah, look at those hatcheted looking lines and stuff here and there. I just don't like it at all. Look at that. The way those shapes are just really bad looking. You know, some of those lines we were looking at earlier. Where was that? This one right here. I think I fixed that one earlier, but I think it's not going to be fixed because I didn't recalculate nothing. But yeah, it's look at those steps and stuff in there. It's just not a good file to run, and it's not good at all. I think it needs a lot of work done, and I just want you to be aware that, not picking on him again, just showing you what you're going to find a lot of times. Oh, I didn't even get rid of everything. Okay. That's just what you're going to find with anyone's files. It just, a lot of people really don't understand this stuff. And so even people that are successful in business and do a lot of this kind of work, they're really not very good at what they do and the products that they're making. I don't know what they do in their own personal things they sell, but, and I've noticed stuff that Garrett sends out a lot too, is a lot of times is not very good at all. And these are just people that, I don't know. I really don't have a good answer for why they do that, but I certainly don't ever do that. If I draw something and or create something, I make sure it's clean. And there's a lot of reasons. You can research this on your own. I've studied this for several years. This is stuff that's out there to be learned. A lot of people, reasons not to use DXF files is because what I just showed you, all the hatching looking shapes and things that you'll not see with SVG or EPS files. You know, in here, if you was to save, let's just say if I wanted to save that, well, let's go over here and push, we'll save that as, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, cancel that. If you go over here and put export, it gives you all these options. Do not use DXF. That's an awful file. There's no reason to use DXF that I know of for nearly any reason, unless you have another place it's going to that absolutely won't accept anything else. You want to use SVG is the primary one I've used for years and years. It works really well. you'll hear people bad-mouthing this file. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't care what they say. I've used these for 7 or 8 years without problems whatsoever. EPS is something recently I've found out works just as well as SVG. They say this one works better. So if I was going to export something like that, I would just use EPS and go save that, and then you can share that to someone else or whatever. They can use a vector file like that without having to have version 12.5 or whatever else is in here. So anyway, I don't know if this is helpful to anybody. And again, I think a file that's this bad, I'm not probably going to run this. I'll probably have to come in and create my own. But it's good because it's all laid out and you can understand how to. I'm not that creative with, creating something, but I can take someone else's creations and kind of make them the way I want them to be, and these letters here, like I think I already said, those are fine. I imagine he put those in there, or he probably recreated them, or I may have even came in, already did this. I don't remember if I've resaved anything in this file. I don't think I have, but yeah, a lot of these will be fine because they're straight lines. They're not going to get screwed up by the DXF. It's going to really screw things up, and it deforms things, and it's just not a good way at all. This one is fairly clean, and I may have actually. These stars are distorted because I know they're supposed to be kind of looking like they're maybe sitting at an angle or something, but I think there's got to be a better way to do that. I personally don't like the shape of these. Look really bad to me. But I'm very much OCD, so don't take everything that I say the way that you need to do. I'm just trying to warn you about things that will, see, when you see a lot of nodes like that, that means that was a DXF file. Look at that, how it's hatched it up, and it's not smooth. On an SVG file like that, normally you'll see something like this, where you just have a few points here making a curve, and that's, it'll also shift the radiuses to places that are not centered up in their, in their curve or something like that. And to fix something like that, I'm not that good at, but you could come in and, you could actually cut this. You could go cut vector right there and cut it here. Now this is not going to work on this probably. And now this will be a separate, I'll turn off notes so you'll see that's a separate one now, and you could delete that and come in here and try to join vectors with a smooth curve, and see it changed the shape of that. Even though it cleaned it up, it's not really the right shape anymore. So it's not always a good fix for everything, but it will clean up stuff. The thing is, if you do that, in this case, some of this was meant to fit something else, but you could do this, cut this vector out and try this, and you'll definitely can try to, I messed it up. I want to delete that, come in here and join with a smooth curve, but see, you're changing the shape of it. Now, whether that's what we want to do or not, I don't really know. But if you don't know how to do this kind of stuff, just right click that and push cut vector. Do that on both ends of that. Turn your nodes off again by pushing in, delete that. Click back on that and push join, close vectors with a smooth curve. And sometimes you can clean things up that way to where when you're done, you don't see all of that, see all these straight lines. And your end mill is going to be following these straight lines. It's not going to cut a curve. It's going to go straight to there, and you're going to have a line of G-code for every one of those because it's moving to different spots in straight lines, when normally it's going to do a curve and it's going to possibly have a radius called out, and it's going to just do a smooth curve here. So that'll be one line of code, and then it'll come straight here, and it'll go straight to that point, do a radius. That's kind of the way G-code works for the most part. But in this case, you're going to add thousands of lines in a file like this, and it lugs down both your CAD software and your machine trying to run that many lines of codes a lot of times. And these are some of the reasons that it's not good, other than the fact it's a terrible shape that you're doing here, and it's just not. It's not the best way at all. I'm just saying to be aware of that. And sometimes when you try to join this, they don't join very well either. This has been working pretty well, but that's just not. Let's cut this out, see what this does. Join with a smooth curve. So far it's working. Anymore, I don't mean to sit here and waste a lot of time. You're watching someone here that's not very good at editing nodes. Women are usually a lot better at doing this kind of stuff than men. Actually, women are a lot more artistic than most men. You got to remember, I'm a machinist. I'm not a design artist or anything like that. Not very good at designing. I don't have a lot of design. I don't have an imagination or creativity. I'm just not very good. I can come in and change things, but creativity is not my thing at all. But I've learned a lot of this by watching several years of videos from a lot of different people, mostly from plasma cutting. I have a CNC plasma table. I've watched a lot of Gary Ramsey over the years. Was one of the leaders in teaching people things like this, and also the guy I bought my plasma table from used to make videos showing a lot of this. But now you can see how clean that file is. All of the lines are clean, and they don't have all of those crazy nodes, and these are turning smooth ones. But you'd have to see now if this is oh, I didn't fix that one yet. Darn it. I'm not meaning to waste a lot of your time watching this, but cut the vector, turn the nodes back off, delete that, go back here and say join with a smooth curve, and I got all of those. So I think that's all of them now, isn't it? So, and also when you're over here in you can push this vector validator right here and push, once you've got that highlighted, push search selected, and it will come up in here and show you a lot of times if you have any issues, especially after you've been tampering with things. And to me, that looks a little funny. It maybe look that way. Anytime you see an extra node in here, you don't need that. Just get that out of there. If it's supposed to be a straight line, both of those need to be delete these points out. You don't need those in there. That's just an extra. These are extra nodes that will slow your machine and your software down, and those should not be in there. Anytime you see that in a straight line, you don't want that. This is just kind of to do with this curve going on. It's still a little bit distorted there, but yeah, that's kind of how you've got, this don't need to be there. Anything that you see in between two straight lines, 2 points that should be a straight line, you shouldn't see a node. If you do, that means it's jogged in or out of that path, and that is not really very good. So anyway, if you was to select all of that and push in for nodes, you can see how clean that is now, and the shapes are a lot closer to correct from what they originally were. But at the same time, is that going to mess up how any of this stuff fits? I don't know. I don't even know what that part is. I think that's just an outside profile cut. So probably, I don't know. That may not be what we want. And in that case, you would probably want to come in and fix this to match it. Maybe, I don't know. You'd have to just do a cut on it and see what it looks like after you do stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to save this and I'll come back and look at it a little bit. And again, I haven't decided what I'm going to do here. I just know, and if I wanted to make notes in here of what I've done so I remember, I could go in here and draw text in here and just say fixed or modified, something like that. And so I'll know that I have tampered with that. So you can just move this in here. I can just put that like that somewhere. I'm not really good at resizing letters, but you could stick this in here. So if I was to file save as, and I always save this as a regular vCard file, and name this CSI chicken sign. Sometimes I just put project, like I'm still working on it, and I'll save this in alt mill and CIC stuff. It's cutting it close. And just save it. anyway, that's what I wanted to show you right now. Hopefully I didn't waste your time. Hopefully that's somehow benefits someone. If you have any questions anytime, find me in the alt mill, long mill Facebook group or some of them kind of groups, or email me at, I think I have an email link, or put a comment in the video or whatever you want to do. And I'm pretty easy to find. And we can go over this live in a Zoom. I have Zoom here. We can do Zoom conferences or whatever. If there's anything you want me to help you work with, I kind of enjoy doing that on weekends. Sometimes I have time for that, only on weekends. I'm working full-time as a machinist in a CNC machine shop, as I've said 100 times, and I am not available during the week at all, really. So, all right, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you and didn't waste your time. See you next time.